Hello everyone. The movie I want to share today is In the Mood for Love. I want to analyze this film for four parts: production and release history, reception and review, plot analysis, and technical analysis. The first part, production and release history. In the Mood for Love is a romance film directed by Wong Kar-wai, starring Tony Leung and Maggie Chen. It premiered at the Cannes Film Festival on May 20, 2000, and was released in Hong Kong on September 29, 2000. This film inspired by Liu Yichang's novel Confrontation. The film is co-produced by Hong Kong and France, starring Tony Leung and Maggie Chen. The second part is reception and review. In the Mood for Love premiered at Cannes Film Festival on May 20, 2000. Tony Leung won the Best Actor award and became the first Hong Kong actor to receive this honor. In 2009, the film was selected as the first Best Asian Film by CNN. In September 2019, the film was ranked 5th among the 100 best films of the 21st century by the British Guardian. Therefore, this film can be said to be one of the main works of Asian cinema. In a 2016 BBC survey, In the Mood for Love was voted the second best film of the 21st century by 117 film critics from around the world. They say, never has a film so fluently using the language of loss and desire, common language to express. The third part is the plot analysis. The film tells a story of a tragic extramarital affair in Hong Kong in 1962 in a subtle way. In an era with a large amount of capital and foreign ideas poured in, people at that time quickly divided into two camps, and some people quickly embraced and adapted to this era, but some people still cling to the old life, habits, and concepts. When they are impacted by new things, they cannot find a way to deal with them in their inherent experience, and confusion will follow. They have been hit by a time-span situation that cannot be dealt with at that time, just like the two protagonists in this film, Fu and Zhou. The story of this film is a very common theme of extramarital affairs, but Wong Kar-wai sets up the atmosphere well, shaping a slow and ritual theme. The first part I want to emphasize is the traditional Chinese dress in the film, the qi pao. This is one of the things I really like about this film. The heroine Su wears a total of 26 different qi paos, none of which was repeated. It can be said that the change of Su's qi pao also represents the development of the storyline and the change of character's mode. For example, in daily life, Su's qi paos are all white or light yellow. These simple colors are in harmony with the dark tones of the film and the surrounding environment. But when Su goes out to buy food alone, she wears a very dark qi pao, implying her inner loneliness. And contrary to her usual style of dressing, it actually hints at her deepening feeling for Zhou. So finally, when Su decides to go with Zhou, the qi pao on her body turns green. This color represents life, which implies that Su wants to start a new life. The ever-changing color for qi pao is in sharp contrast with the dark main tone of the film. The color change of the qi pao is more expressive. Through the change of color, it reflects the psychological changes of the characters, and it indirectly deepens the theme and makes the theme performance more vivid, subtle, and heavy. And in addition, qi pao as a traditional dress It also hints at the shackles of tradition on Su, while reminding the audience that this is a distant era. And what I want to analyze next is Zhou's struggle and inner transformation. After the performance of the two, Zhou's life can be said to be very complicated, not like a person immersed in love at all. Because Zhou's wife betrayed him, he was very angry, and so he wanted to try to take revenge on his wife. In his contact with Su, it can be said that it was not entirely love, and he also had the idea using Su to take revenge on his wife. However, during the long-term relationship, he found that Su was just an innocent poor woman, and he began to fall in love with Su himself. Therefore, Zhou felt guilty in his heart, and he felt struggle about the relationship. Just like in the 43 minutes, he was smoking in a company, and the lingering smoke is the embodiment of his chaotic emotions. And this guilt also explains why Zhou confessed to the whole at the end. It can be said that both Su and Zhou are poor people. They are struggling in the impact of the new era and don't know what to do. They are very conservative in their marriage, but in the face of the betrayal of their spouses, they cannot help but want to develop new relationships. This implicitly reflects the general emotion life and moral concept of the people in that area and society. And the fourth part, technical analysis. Regarding technique, panning shoots are used extensively in this film. In the 57 minutes when the two were writing a novel together, the camera panned back and forth in front of the mirror. Through the panning shoots and mirrors, the audience can see the intimacy of the two of them from various angles. Watching the world in a mirror merge with the world outside of the mirror. At this time, the back and forth shoots exaggerated the heavy and beautiful love with them, making people immerse themselves in the real warm moments in the film. The panning shoot that impressed me the most was the 74 minutes when Su and Zhou were growing in love. They heard on the radio that Su's husband ordered a song for her on the radio. The camera continuously shifts from Zhou on the left side of the wall and then to Su on the right side of the wall, and repeats. The lingering panning shoot further reveals the inner struggle of the two. Even though her husband betrayed Su under the influence of traditional thinking, she was still ashamed of her actions and feeling towards Zhou. There is a touch of sadness in this scene, which also paves the way of the tragic ending. The film also makes extensive use of the repetition. For example, at the corner of the stairs, the first shoot shows Zhou carrying a lunchbox up the stairs, and the second shoot shows Zhou turning the corner and going down the stairs. This happened in two time periods, and because of the existence of the strict corner connects these two characters together, aid the dislocation of the ring of the camera, and the narrative makes the two people have an invisible connection. As director Wong Kar-wai himself said in an interview, this is a romance film shot in the style of a suspense film. The use of jump cuts complicates the rhythm of the film and implies a lot of external information. As shown in the repetition in the picture, the last two people return their old places where they lived before, ask the same question, and look in front of the window, but but the same window was at different time and different windows. Everything had changed. Even if they won't get back their previous love, they cannot find each other. This is exactly the tragic beauty brought about the dislocation of the time and space in the repetition. The movie tells a love affair of betrayal and bondage, a love affair that is tolerant, restrained, beautiful, and finally broken. In Hong Kong in 1916, Sue, who was relatively conservative in thinking, was powerless in the face of her husband's betrayal, and only reluctantly gave up in the face of new love. The relationship between Joe and Sue seems to be very close, but they are far away. The beautiful love between them can only be turned into a eternal memory, heavy and sad, like a story in a fog. That's all. Thanks.